Folks, this is probably an occasion or occurrence that I have not been this excited about in a very, very long time. It's a time to celebrate all our hard work. It's also a time to celebrate new product offerings, a situation where we're bringing a great solution to market specifically for you. Gary, I know that you and I have talked with clients. I've been on the road with Shannon and Melissa and Janie, and I've heard this from Mike Lahigi. I've heard this from a lot of folks on the call, on my team as well, that Ryan, I really like your UC solution, or Mike or Melissa, I really love your UC solution, but for whatever reason, I'm really waiting for residential. I hear that as a common refrain. Let me take a quick sidebar. Gary, why is that? Why are we waiting for residential?
Well, a lot of it has to do with, our partners and their location, what they're selling. There's a certain number of business clients, but there's, in volume terms, there's a lot more residential. But today, too, when you think about how things are being sold with broadband and stuff outside of certain market areas, then you're able to go in and sell residential with that too. So it's a great add-on to any internet offering. In addition to being able to position that for offering triple play and things like that later on, right?
So this is a perfect time, knowing a little bit of the back context, a little bit of the back story, to get really, really excited, because we're finally at a point where we can say we have residential, we have what we're calling homeXtend for you, and that launch is coming up very soon. So what we wanted to do today on our WOW session is sticking with our theme of enabling and empowering you with as much information and training to be as successful as possible, because as always our success is dependent upon your success. We want to take this chance to spend time with our product management, our sales management team, and share with you the upcoming launch for homeXtend or residential. That's what we're doing today. We're going to go over a pre-launch, again, getting you the information you need first, right from the horse's mouth, so to speak, to get you prepared for our launch. So what we're going to cover today is, I'm Ryan Burns. I've been with you now for about a year and a half. This is Gary Wilson. Gary, you've been on how many of these WOW sessions with us now?
Several, 4 or 5 anyway.
Several. Probably I'll give you credit for at least half a dozen. And we're looking for Aldo Ramirez. Many of you have met Aldo over the past few weeks, and he is going to try to join us this morning. He got tied up, but we're going to get him in here if possible. I'm also looking at this text in the bottom left-hand corner. Sweet. All right, just skim through the text real quick. So that's who we're going to have on our call today. What we're going to cover is a product overview, feature functionality, pricing and packaging for homeXtend, for our residential UC, wholesale UC residential solution, an opportunity analysis, kind of like a market analysis for homeXtend. What are the ILECs? What are you facing? What are the opportunities in your market? Why is this a great solution? Why are we doing this? And really what we hope we can collectively get out of it together. And then finally we'll wrap up with some back office operations, the order entry, customer management, the Atlas and the CAP configuration. So once you've sold it, how do you then manage it with your back office system? So that's our goal for today. And as always, we're recording the call so we can follow up with you and the rest of your team for anyone who missed this. Now, I know many of you are most excited about what is actually entailed in this product. So let's actually start with that for this morning. And for that, I want Gary, you can see that we're on camera, Gary to talk us through and walk us through the overview of the product. Before you do that, Gary, as always, you know that in the lower left-hand corner you can put your chat box or chat question or comment in the lower left-hand corner. As always, *1 will bring you off of mute. We're informal, we're family style here, so please interrupt Gary, interrupt me at any point for any conversation or comment you need to make. Okay. With that, Gary, let's go ahead and dive into some of the product overview.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's always kind of fun when you get to introduce a new, just a whole new product line like this, because there's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of people involved. It's been going on for quite a while to build this and be able to offer it to you. So, this is always kind of fun offering something totally new like this. So what we're doing, we're actually, think about residential, right? So hosted UC, you can, get a fairly complex offering. A lot of hosted UC, businesses have fairly complex configurations, things like that. When you think about residential, you want to have something fairly simplified, something that is easy to use. So you want to make sure that the offering itself It is pretty simple, and then there's not just a huge amount of complexity to it. And that's both in the terms of keeping it simple for the offering to the end customer, but also keeping it simple for you, because operationally you've got to manage your costs on residential as well, right? You can offer a lot of things to the business side that sometimes you don't necessarily want to do on the residential, just to keep costs under control, right? So we want to make sure that we keep that all very much in mind as we build this product. And so what we have really is two packages for residential. We have our residential standard and our select offering. And the standard offering offers a very competitive set of features. We'll actually have a chart which go through all of the feature list. And it includes the residential cap, and we'll show you what that cap looks like here in a bit. The Select also offers some other features, a lot of other features like the simultaneous ring and things like that, along with a mobile application for both Android and iOS. So we'll talk about that in a bit. From a device standpoint, what we're doing from a deployment is we're using a Grandstream ATA device, an analog telephony adapter, that we automatically provision just like we do with phone. So, forget everything you know about what we're doing with our NetGen fax ATA devices, nothing like that. This is very simple to deploy. It ships to the customer, they plug it in, it comes in and does the auto provisioning. So it's very simple. The thing about the ATA device, again, going back to thinking about the residential customer base, they already have a phone. They know how to use that phone. There's no retraining of that end user for how to put contact entries in their phone, or how to place calls with it, or anything like that. So again, in terms of just keeping the offering and the deployment of it simple, the ATA is the easiest approach because there's no end user retraining with their device. So again, the mobile app, so this is both for homeXtend, it's for the Android and iOS. So if you go into either the iTunes Store or the Google Play Store, you'll already find those applications, because we actually have a number of customers that are deployed in the field today, live customers that have turned up with a lead partner that we did with an API integration. We'll talk a little bit about that. So we do have live customers out there that are running this application, running the service, running the ATA. This is all in the field today. From a tool standpoint, and we'll talk about the open API interface. So everything you can do in Atlas, everything you do everything customer management to ordering, to working, the workflows and stuff like that. That's all exposed via APIs. But obviously what we had to do was to go back and build these into Atlas so that anybody could go in and easily place an order and manage the order all inside Atlas, just like you do your hosted UC orders today. So that's been the biggest effort here with this launch, is to build all that out, make sure we've got the ability for you to go through it and put your orders together just like you do today. So, and then again, the customer administration portal, I'm really happy about that one. Can't wait to show you that one, because it's very different than our current cap. Again, with the focus being residential, we got to keep this simple, got to keep this easy for residential users to use. So Gary, thanks for that quick overview. Again, any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. We'll come off with mute. So Gary, help me understand, now that we have kind of a basic primer around what are the core components of this residential packaging, what are some of the high-level value propositions associated with this type of offer? Well, and again, the nice thing about this is it can be sold over the top. So if you're out there selling, you think about the competitors in the space, whether that's Vonage, whether that's the cable companies and things like that. So now you have another offering with residential that you go and you can sell over the top. Or, if you're out there offering your own broadband solution, you now have a residential service that you can deploy with your solution. So if you're already out there putting a router out there selling broadband service, now you have another device that you can interop with your router and make it all work. Ship that out there with confidence that you can get the residential phone service deployed over the top, and you're not going to lose that not lose that customer since you now have at least two components in there with them. The other thing too is that when we go back, we'll show you the feature set again. This is one thing that we had to look at was you're going out there and you're selling against, you know, a lot of the carriers, like for instance, I've got Uverse, and it just frustrates me because it's, again, there's a lot of features. I can do stuff with star codes and things, but I can't really control any of the features through the cap. I can't do things like stop all the spam bots and things like that. It just frustrates me. So one of the things that we've done with the service is we offer, for instance, the unlimited local and long distance. This is the same calling plan that we do with Host UC. So that keeps it simple for you, because you already know, if you're selling Host UC through us today, you already know our calling plan. And so this is the same thing. It makes it easy for you to help the end customer because you already know it, right? So, but it also is a great competitive offering. So we're offering the same 22 countries we do with Host UC. So it makes a very nice calling package. We also throw in a lot of things like unified messaging. So not just voicemail. So every seat comes with voicemail. But we also throw the unified messaging in so that you can get your voicemail and your email. And that's available. You can control that through CAP. We automatically default set that up for you, but the customer can go in and make any changes they want to in CAP. Again, my favorite feature, so when you go to the residential select, we have a new feature, which is the selective call rejection, where you can go through and, you know, you got that 800 number that's calling you every day at noon, you go put that number in there, and, you know, now suddenly you won't get calls from it anymore. Now, they may still be calling, but they're just going to hear it busy, or their automated machine will hear it busy. Yeah, like it really
like it, yeah, like it.
The other thing you get with the residential selection, again, you get the mobile app. So these are all great selling points. You know, the selective call rejection, I'd buy the residential select seat just for that feature alone. So, when you think about it, when you're selling into that market, if you're competing against Vonage, I mean, think about the value that you have, and that you have local care, you've got local technicians. You may be going out and doing the broadband install, so now you can deploy the ATA device with that and turn up the residential service at the same time. You know, think about Vonage, which just ships the device, and good luck. If you don't get it to work, you know, well. So those are things you have you're competing against. You've got you know, great story because you're in that market. You're already a brand that those customers know. You know, if there's any issues or whatever, they know who to go to. They know where to find you, right? It's not like you got to go to a website and go look up some 800 number and hope somebody that speaks English is going to answer it.
So Gary, you've given us so far a product overview of our core feature sets, or our core inclusions in this offering, and we've had a quick spin through some of the high-level tips of the wave type of value prop conversation. It's the quality of the network, an over-the-top delivery approach. You have an advanced calling features as well as mobility, and again, your customer support. How are we bundling, and what is kind of our pricing strategy or recommendation for something like this?
Well, from a pricing strategy, so obviously, you know, here's our pricing in the feature list today, right? So we talk about the homeXtend pricing. Our standard offering, what we're offering that to you is $7.99 and $10.99 for the select. When you go back and look at how the pricing is in your market, it kind of depends on who you're really competing against. I know with Uverse, I'm paying $25 a month for residential service with 250 calling minutes. Yeah, great. You know, so if you're competing with Vonage, you got to read the fine print. You know, it may say, I've got this site and it looks, hey, $9.99 for the first year, and it's a 2-year contract, and it's $24.99 a year after that. So you really have to look at what you're competing with and how they're playing that. You may have to come up with some competitive type offers like that to offset that. But in general, I think that most of the time, if you're competing you know, against others, you'll find that you can, you know, make some really good profit margin on these prices. And again, so the Grand Stream ATA, it's a very inexpensive device. And again, like I said, that one, the nice part about that is that we ship that, it's fully provisioned, ready to go. Customer just plugs it in, and you know, it just works, right? So you can see the feature chart there. You know, there's a ton of features on this list. Just even in the residential select, or the residential standard column, there's just a lot of calling features, including the unified messaging, the unlimited local long distance, and all the standard features like call waiting, call hold, a nice feature, three-way calling, so you can actually do just a short conference call if you need to do that. Call return, last and read out, call rejection, all these things. Do not disturb. And again, the voicemail and unified messaging, those are all included even in the residential standard offering. When we go to the residential select, we've added a lot of other features. So all of these features are added in the residential select. So it will select sequential ring, simultaneous ring, all those in there, the homeXtend, the mobile client, that's added into that seat as well. Selected call acceptance and rejection, as well as distinctive ring. So this is distinctive ring if you've got, your kids at home and they've got some friends that call all the time. You can put their numbers into the distinctive ring, and when those numbers are called from, then the phone will ring in a slightly different pattern, so you can quickly identify, who the call's for, right? So a lot of great features, and again, you can control all of these through the CAP.
So Gary, you've talked a lot about, or you've mentioned a few times, the mobile client or the mobile app. Which of the two packages is that one included with?
That's on the residential select.
On select.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit more about what's the purpose of a mobile app? Why would I need a mobile app with a residential client or residential product?
Well, the interesting thing about the mobile client, what that lets you do, just like with any other, the type of client tied to your seat, it lets you place, for instance, you can place an outbound call and project that outbound call as coming from your residential number. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It lets you be more mobile. For instance, you can take that call, take your phone with you and place calls as if it's coming from your residential number. When you add it onto the service, it pairs it with your line when calls come into your residential number. It'll ring both your ATA device, it'll ring your mobile phone, any of the mobile phones that are added to that, added to your account. So it's a nice feature. It lets you take your residential service pretty much anywhere. And again, homeXtend, right? It helps you extend your home residential service to anywhere you go. And the other thing it does too is it has a whole set of features. So for instance, you can change a lot, just like with the CAP, you could actually go in and change a lot of your call settings from the application.
So to that point, it looks and feels and sounds much like my office line, my UC solution here in the office, where I have the Presence app, as well as my desktop device. So it seems like there's a lot of similarities in terms of the functionality.
Right, there's a lot of similarities. There's obviously things like Presence and stuff like that are not in this particular client because it doesn't make sense for residential. You're not trying to figure out anybody else in the house if they're available or not, right? So
that's kind of creepy.
So there's a few features, things like Presence, stuff like that doesn't exist within this application because it really, again, it's more targeted at residential use.
But the SIM ring, the mobility component of it is still there. Right. So let's pause there. Let's give Gary a quick break. Any questions from our carrier partners, or any questions or comments, any observations, aha moments, even from our internal teams? A bunch of them just instantly popped in. Let me filter through these real quick. Let me go through these. All right, so great questions, guys. Let's take these one at a time. Since they came in order, let's start with Justin Powers. That's winning the name lottery, by the way.
That is.
I mean, Justin Powers. Anyway, so Gary, does the ATA have to be deployed?
Preferably the ATA it would be deployed. I don't know what if you're thinking about whether there's other options or whether you're thinking is the mobile phone the only option. You can certainly go with the mobile client. The preference obviously is that the ATA gets deployed with that service. Primarily since it's that's really sort of the anchor for a lot of the services.
So the more questions are coming in, and folks, this is perfect. I'm more than happy to field these questions and take as much time as we need to answer them. Feel free also to just come off mute if you would prefer to, for efficiency's sake. Mike, will a call coming to my mobile indicate somehow or let me know that it's actually a call to my home line or it's coming in from my home line?
Yeah, and actually what happens when a call comes in, you'll actually see this little homeXtend icon kind of pop up on the screen to let you know that call is coming from your residential line.
Mr. Bertrand, can homeXtend be white labeled for ILEC, similar to business?
It can't be wide. So the thing about the residential is we're never going to be offering this as a retail product. So there is no anti-brand effectively to this product. homeXtend is our white label, just like InCommand is our white label for our other clients. homeXtend is our white label brand for partners. So that effectively is the brand that you will be selling.
So it is.
It is the white label brand.
Okay. And then I have a question here from Darren Knapp from Polycom. So Gary, could this type of service be used for, I don't know, maybe a home-based business instead of, that was the emphasis there, instead of a business line such as, I don't know, Precision or one of the VoIP packages?
I would say possibly. It kind of depends on what you're trying to do when you say home-based business, right? Because it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're looking at having multiple lines, you can order up to 5 lines of service. Now each line is going to come with a different ATA. Because you may plug one line of service into a fax machine. You may plug one line of service into a phone. A lot of times a lot of people will use just the decked analog phones that have multiple handsets. The caveat there, of course, is that with any like an analog type thing, you can only place one call at a time. So it doesn't behave the same way as, for instance, a SIP-decked analog handset or SIP-decked handset would act. That you could have each handset could have a different simultaneous call going on. So there are just a few caveats, I guess, really, for using it for home-based business. Again, it's residential service. When somebody buys it, you don't necessarily know what they're going to be doing with it, whether they're just using it for their own residential service or they're going to be trying to do a business service offering with it.
Okay, folks, these are perfect. This is why we do these calls for these types of questions. So, Ms. Shannon asks, so Gary, can one phone line installed in a home have multiple people logged into and using the app, or is it really a one-for-one type of use case?
Multiple people log in and using the app. Actually, I think you can add multiple phones to the service. Just keep in mind that, of course, anytime somebody calls the residential line, it's going to ring all of those phones that are tied to it. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And maybe what you're asking, hey, great, that's exactly what I want. But you can't do that.
Matt Garrett, how many traditional phones, sounds like a 5th grade math question, how many traditional phones...
If on a train going to Chicago.
Exactly, eastbound, can be hooked into the ATA and still ring?
Right. So, and this all comes down to, a lot of times you'll see the ringer equivalency numbers specified for these devices. The Grand Stream ATA, the 701, they rated at 5 rings. Conservatively, I'd probably say no more than 4 devices. And again, you kind of have to know what you're doing in terms of wiring these devices up when you're trying to, if you're trying to parallel them out to multiple phones. You do need to know how to do the wiring, because obviously you can't just take the output of the ATA and just plug it into your home phone line, because that's being powered by your current carrier, and you'll probably damage the device, if not damage something else in the process. So definitely don't recommend that. You absolutely need to know what you're doing if you're trying to use the ATA to plug into home wiring so that you can plug in phones across the house.
Michael makes a comment, is there a possibility of multi-line ATAs, instead of stacking 4, 5, 6 ATAs together?
Right now, we just have the one ATA, the one-line ATA offering. I think that's going to be, the problem is I think that's probably going to be 95 to 98% of the orders are probably going to be single line of service. And the complexities for supporting multi-line ATAs, it doesn't necessarily justify the effort to go, add that in, because there's actually quite a bit of complexity in setting one of those up versus setting up a single line ATA device, especially in the automated provisioning thing. So right now we're just going with a single line ATA. And the only thing too is that when you think about the multi-line devices, you also have to think about when you're putting it into the house, where are those phones at? Are they, if it's a multi-line device, then if it supports, let's say, two lines or both the lines in the same room, or how are you planning on wiring that up? So the only thing about having a single line ATA or a multi-line ATA device is that now you've concentrated all of the phone lines into that physical location where that ATA device is at.
Okay. Brandon Irish has a good question. He's experienced or worked with other devices that allow him to plug the device into the wall and light up all the phones. Do you have any insights as to why we're not able to do this, or clarify that?
Well, I would say that I'm not recommending that you do that. I think that what you need to be able to do is you need to know how to do it, because certainly it makes it, you think that you could just plug that in, but you have to understand that if the current carrier still has their copper attached, if they're delivering DC, if they're delivering hopefully they're not ringing anymore if you ported the number away, but you could damage the device by doing that. So you need to make sure that you understand how to go outside the house, go to where that the connectivity comes in, and be able to disconnect that copper circuit coming in from the previous carrier. Now, of course, if they have DSL, then you don't want to do that, right? So that adds an additional problem to that. So you can certainly do it, but you better know what you're doing.
That's good advice. So Darlene has a question as well. If someone already has, an end user, a residential customer already has an IP phone, would you recommend, or is it possible that they do away with the need for an ATA?
Well, and again, this gets back to the the premise for selling residential. Most customers, very, very few customers, it's probably going to be a 0.01% case, would even have an IP phone at home. They're most likely going to have an analog phone. They already know how to use that. There's no end-user retraining. And again, keep in mind, it's residential. You don't have to spend a huge amount of time with these customers. It's not like you're going to go offer an hour training session like you might with your business customer. You're not going to do that with a residential customer. So if they've already got an IP phone, today, no, because we're not doing certainly the provisioning part of that. They'd have to have some way to get the SIP credentials to go into that phone, know how to log into that phone, set all that information. Somebody would have to know how to do that, because it's not going to be us. We're not going to be providing the level of support for you to go in and do that. That's just, the ATA is the easiest solution. It covers the vast majority of the residential base.
And you're on the hot seat today. Good. Justify your existence.
All right. It's a new product offering, and we put a lot of thought in this in terms of just how to support the residential market, just from our standpoint, but then also from everybody else. We got to keep the offering simple and reflect on what a residential customer most likely already has in their household.
Another comment from Brandon. He says that a lot of my area is unportable. Do you see us, AMPI, continuing to add more locations for portability?
It's kind of an ongoing process. I mean, anytime you get into the whole porting thing, that's always something that if we have areas that are not portable, bring it up obviously with your account manager, and those things will start getting worked through. Some areas that may never happen, but if areas suddenly become portable, then certainly we'd be able to port those areas.
Okay. All right, it looks like the questions have trickled down. Just for a second, I'm going to give Gary a moment to catch his breath. So what we've done so far this morning, and Aldo sneaked in behind us, and he's going to join us on the call in a minute. I'm going to put him in the hot seat. Is what we've done so far this morning is we've given an overview of the product, the core feature sets. We've walked through some of the value propositions at a high level. We've looked at the mobile device as well, and we had a great slew of questions. Any other questions that come up in the next few minutes, please do the same thing that the rest of the team has done. But let's transition into that next step in the life cycle of the sale. How do you manage the order? How do you implement the order? How do you manage your customers in your customer administration portal? What does the CAP look like, for example, for the end user as well? So these are really a collection of back office systems. I think of them as tools that you use to implement the sale as well as manage the solution. Let's turn back to Gary on this one, and he'll walk us through some of the back office operations or tools that we put together to support this offering.
Right. So one of the things, of course, when we do an offering like this, you'll have to go with your account manager because there's going to be a whole process around the onboarding, being able to get the branding done. What we're going to be doing for the CAP, for instance, we're going to leverage, if you already have a branded hosted UC CAP, we're going to leverage the assets off of that as we can for branding your residential CAP, but there's still going to be some things about specifying a new URL, things like that for it. So make sure that, as we start going through this, that we, you go through the onboarding process to get that whole thing moving. Now, once you go through that process and your Atlas account gets enabled for residential, you'll notice the difference because as soon as you go into the sales orders and go click create a new proposal, you'll be presented with this particular screen as opposed to the standard one which just says, is this a new or existing customer? You'll now have the ability to specify whether this order that you're creating is for enterprise or for residential. Once you do that, so you click residential, the next thing you're going to see, this is the ordering screen. So again, this isn't a matter, in terms of just trying to keep things a bit more simplified, when you look at it from your ordering list right here in the middle, this is your list of things you can order. Oh, you changed it. Oh,
I made it full screen for everybody. You still draw.
Turn it on.
We won.
So now you made me draw in the wrong place.
Well, hold on a second. All right, if it's really bothering you,
looks like a kindergartner.
Yeah. Hold on, stay still. Quit moving your mouse. All right.
Way outside the line.
There, gone. Start over.
Thank you. So right here in the middle, this is it. This is your add products. So instead of having a button that you click add products, you add it to a location. We only have it's residential. There's no locations. It's the one customer. It's their one location. So we remove the location complexity. When you add products, that's the only list of products I've expanded here, so you can see that you have the residential standard select. You can also order a toll-free number for a residential customer as well. For each of those things, you'll just specify the quantity and then click add lines. That adds it to the bottom part, so you'll see down here. This part gets expanded. The first part, once you've ordered it, when you enter the customer's information, so you enter their name, their address, and contacts and stuff like that, this information at the bottom automatically gets pre-filled with their name that they specified. One thing you can do too is just like with the with hosted UC solutions, for any lines of service you can go in and specify a rate center for that. If you want to pull a number from that rate center, you can choose a specific DID from the list. So all those same features that were there before are here as well. But when you think about it from a residential standpoint, what are they ordering? They're ordering, a single line of service, so it defaults to residential select. It defaults to their username that they put in the order. Everything pretty much defaults. For most orders, this bottom part is probably pre-filled the way you're going to want it. You just come over here, calculate your shipping, include your taxes, and continue. Right, so it's a very simplified ordering process in terms of that the ordering screen when it comes up is already, for the most part, pre-filled with everything that you need to complete an order.
So if I can tie a ribbon around that, if I'm with Futiva or Endeavor and I'm already entering my own orders, and I sure hope they are entering their own orders with that. This doesn't look too terribly different than how I'm already doing it.
It doesn't look, well, in fact, we're trying to keep it as very similar because if you're selling, you've already gone through the whole training process of how to place orders for hosted UC. This is just an extra way to build an order, but it's also very simplified from doing a hosted UC configuration. So you should be able to go in, click New Proposal, create it for residential, enter the customer information, username, address, things like that. Boom, create the proposal. You're here at this screen. Most things are going to be pre-filled, are ready to go. All you're going to need to do is just click the calculate taxes and the shipping the taxes and continue. And then you can also, at that point, you can build a proposal and go through the process of emailing the proposal, or you can go straight to the order, create an order. So all those same features that from an ordering process that are in hosted UC are in for residential ordering as well.
Okay. Matt, I'm tabling your question right now because I do want to get to it. It's a real good question. Don't answer it just yet. I'm going to get to Matt's question, Garrett's question during a transition to Aldo. But Eric's question is specific to Atlas, what you're talking about, Garrett, right now. I know you can't see it, but I'll read it to you. So Eric West asks, so we would have an Atlas login for business and another Atlas login for residential?
No, it'll be under your same login.
Okay.
What we wind up doing is once you've completed all your onboarding process, you go in, we enable your existing Atlas account for your partner setup for residential. So that at that point, then anybody that's already logging into your partner setup will see the residential offers. So now, once you've completed the order and you've pushed it through, it's in service orders. There's actually a new widget. So when you go into the orders, you'll see that there's a residential order widget. So you'll still have your existing customer orders, which is for your hosted UC, but we separate out the residential into a different widget, so that way you can keep your hosted UC. If you got somebody that's working hosted UC orders, you got somebody that's working residential orders, they're actually in two different widgets, and you can manage through them separately. And again, it's a very familiar environment. You're going to go in here, you're going to apply a workflow. It'll show you the status for that. So your completion things, you just double click it again, it'll launch your workflow, and you just work through your workflow just like you do for a hosted UC order. Again, the intent is to keep this as familiar as possible for anybody that's been working hosted UC orders. So you just drop right in, and it shouldn't be too difficult to work through the process of getting residential up and running. From a customer management standpoint, same thing. So when you go to the customers tab, today you got your customers list. Now you're going to have your residential customer list. So again, we separate these out. There's things in here like customer ID versus company name, things like there's a few differences in terms of what the content in here. Again, you'll have the filters and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's available to you, just like for managing your hosted UC customers. When you do open up a customer, though, it's again in the same vein of keeping things as a little bit more simplified. We're basically just giving you the contact information. There's actually, this is an older screenshot. There's actually a new button right in here that will be there for the Customer 360. So you'll be able to click that, and that will launch the customer's CAP. And so you'll be able to assist them if they have issues using their CAP. You'll be able to go in there and see what their settings are. Again, you have the call log. This shows you the orders that have been placed. And then the service thing, the service widget is very simplified. So today, your UCAS service widget, you've got 3 tabs for accounts, account staff, users, service, and things like that. Everything is consolidated into one widget because most likely, like I said, probably the vast majority of the orders are going to be a single line of residential service. So you're only going to have one thing in here of service, right? So in this case, a residential select, it'll show you the order that it was on, the phone number that's assigned to them. Here's the ATA device. So you'll be able to see all that. And there's a devices widget as well that'll show you their ATA just like there is in UCAS. So again, a simplified view, but in a very familiar environment.
So Gary, the order entry, customer management, service management in Atlas, those are for the partners, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's kind of turn the page a little bit and say we also have back office or back home systems that the end user has to manage their service as well, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. And this is one thing that, we spent a lot of time kind of going through this. We know that, on the UCAS side, of course, we have all our widgets and things like that. We wanted to come up with something that was far more simplified, a more familiar environment. There's a lot of the new UI features and things are going to kind of left-hand navigation, in which everything is over here on the left of all the features that you can select. So in this particular case, for the end user cap, now you've got profile settings. You go to your profile settings. You can change things like your E911 address, your email address, your password, secret questions, things like that, or anything that has to do with your profile. In this screen, your My Calling features. So this is all the calling features. So very simplified view, right? So you've got Do Not Disturb. You just have a slider that's on and off. When you click the little help link, you get a little help pop-up that gives you the information, gives you the help information. What we try to do too is to make sure that this client can be used hopefully with a mobile phone, right? So a lot of customers have asked, well, I'd sure like to be able to use your Atlas or be able to use the CAP from a mobile device, but it's just not that mobile friendly. So for one thing, we wanted to make sure that we do for the residential CAP is make sure that we design something that could be a bit more mobile friendly as well. And again, you also have access to all of your voicemail settings. So it's a very simplified view, very easy to navigate. Again, mobile friendly. A lot of things went into this. When we talk about the branding assets, so we pull in your logo. There's some other things that we pull in as well, the colors and stuff like that from the hosting UC settings.
Cool. That's a real good overview of what these back office systems look like. Let me pause here for a second and circle back to Matt Garrett's question because it's actually about product. So let's do a little mental gymnastics here. Is the ATA, Matt Garrett, is it capable of supporting a phone in a detached building? For example, maybe a customer has a phone with an extension to a garage and it might be, I don't know, a few hundred feet away.
So you're talking about like an extended, this is the RJ11 cable effectively as an extended run. I believe so. You might be able to go out, I can't remember the length, but I want to say it was actually pretty long. Talking about 100 feet or so? 100 feet, maybe more than that.
I remember we looked it up one time.
Yeah, it's certainly in the Grandstream ATA documentation. Things like the number, the ring equivalent, the REN equivalent. But I believe there's also some information in there about the length of cable support that it can drive. But as far as like an attached garage, a few hundred feet away. Wow, how big is that property that a garage is a few hundred feet away?
That's what I'm trying to do.
I'm kind of jealous, but anyway.
A few hundred feet away is my neighbor.
Yeah.
My neighbor's house.
A few hundred feet is like 2 or 3 houses down. Yeah. If you check the site, the information will be there on that ATA, but we can certainly go look that up as well. But I want to say,
looks like we already documented that in our troubleshooting documentation as 5 REN up to 1 kilometer.
1 kilometer.
Wow. Yeah. Holy cow. That's directly from the documentation at Grandstream.
Yeah. Now again, those are probably, fairly, I always like to be a little conservative on that. 5 REN, let's say. 4 is probably good. 1 kilometer, let's say, 500 meters, whatever that translates into the I always like to be a little bit conservative with those.
Okay. Good. Tell you what, I'm keeping one eye on many things, but one thing that just popped up is our time, and I want to be true to our agenda for the morning. let's start wrapping this call up by really looking at what the opportunity looks like in your market. It's a nice conclusion to this conversation because we need to know what the project is, how will I manage it. Okay, I got that sense of certainty and confidence in it. Now I need to know when I'm going out into the market, what kind of marketplace am I looking at, what are my opportunities, and I think this is a really good way to kind of wrap up the conversation that Gary was having with us. And to do that, I'm going to jump out of this seat because I want Aldo to join us. He was able to join us. Many of you met Aldo on the road already. He's been on several of our calls. He joined us joined AMPI back in January. He's been a tremendous asset so far. He's our VP of UCAS sales. Seat's warm.
Right.
Jump on over. Yeah. I've got notes here if you need them. And I will, just in case, and I'll move slides for you. Sweet.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks Gary for taking 45 minutes of this call. That's awesome. But the good news is that there's been a lot of development on the product, and I appreciate everything that Gary and the team have put into it, and we're really excited about this launch. I know that many of our partners have been waiting on this for a while, so getting it out is critical, and I think it's it's going to be exciting, and I appreciate you guys working with us closely as we develop this. And again, features, functionalities, questions, changes, let us know, and we're happy to always work those things with you guys. So again, I'll take the rest of the call and just kind of walk through the state of the market here and really explain why are we doing this, because that's really a lot of folks ask residential, why are you guys going to that market? Why does that make sense to you guys? Well, because we service carrier customers like you guys, this is a big need. And I won't read every one of these on the slide, but we put together some interesting facts about why jump into this vertical market. But as we all know, one of the challenges that you guys face is that your customers are abandoning those traditional landlines. They're going with the competition that's offering a triple play, for example, or giving them IP services with many features and benefits that we're rolling out with this product. It's increasingly costly to operate a TDM network, as we all know, and many of you guys are already moving that direction into an IP backbone, into fiber, and it just makes sense to start working our way towards the residential services. So the declining revenues as people shift off of those services, lack of resources to maintain and develop the TDM infrastructure. That's a big one. People are aging out of those roles, and you don't have people to support that. Everybody understands IP, everybody understands data, and this is the next step for it. And again, we know that the USF is a big driver as well. As things start to change in that environment, a ruling was made a couple of, I think it was 3 weeks ago now, where the plans are to continue to reduce those, and eventually they will go away. The good news is that it looks like we'll get some relief, and we'll get some USF subsidy on the broadband side if you're offering voice. So again, another natural play to move into offering residential services over broadband. So again, what are some of the things that enable survivability through the new technology? Again, you guys are doing a lot of this, fiber builds, offering cable TV, video, wireless. The second bullet point is really big, expanding beyond your traditional footprint, in moving into those select areas where you want to offer service, grow your revenue base, and start getting into neighboring or adjoining cities that need these kind of services and don't have a lot of options. And then, of course, mitigating your churn. When the likes of the cable codes are in there, or if one of these over-the-top provider comes in saying, hey, if it's Vonage, for example, offering residential service to your broadband users, you want something to fight those guys with. Selling within your footprint, I know, is not the #1 strategy, but we'll say this is a defensive strategy in your current footprint. So again, if someone's in there taking your existing customers, let's have something to fight them with and say, what, we offer the same service or similar service. It's on our network. We're your trusted provider. Here's what we can do for you on the residential side. And then again, by using the AMPI product, no CapEx or upfront costs for you guys. We've spent the time, the money, the energy, the people skills to develop this product, and you're buying it from it as a service and selling it to your customers branded under your name. So again, why homeXtend? Why offer this product? Again, I won't read all these to you. Gary's done a great job by going through the product. I think you see a lot of the benefits, but talking a little more high-level stuff. Other than talking about features and benefits, what else are we after? I think #1, growing that out-of-market revenue is critical. Many of you guys are selling near to your existing customer base or near to your existing market, and this adds more products, more services other than the enterprise offer to go into that residential market. And again, we talked about having an in-area solution. Again, if you have to play defense and someone's offering IP phone service to your existing customers in footprint, this is a great solution. And again, having something down the road, we'll say, for switch replacement. As the class 5 switches get older, your DMS, 250s or 500s or whatever's out there, your 5Es, as they get older and they're harder to maintain and the parts become less available and people become less available, or the manufacturer doesn't want to support it, switch migration is kind of on everybody's mind, not immediately, but let's say 1, 2, 3 years down the road. This is a great plan to start getting there. The second kind of chart there, or second lane we created was the market opportunity by the numbers. So this kind of tells us and tells you guys what's out there. There's a lot of access lines up for grabs. Right now, what we've done with our research, and these are pretty rounded numbers, but they're close. What we found within our existing footprint of ILEC partners is 275,000 access lines in area, and 44,500 broadband lines out of area. They're kind of up for grabs right now. And again, we'd love for you guys to gain that market share and not lose that to the competition. And then if we look at what's adjacent to you guys, so you take your existing market and we say, okay, what's within essentially 20 miles radius that you can go into? The collective market around there is another 657,000 access lines. So this is a really, really big piece of pie. And again, we want you guys to have something to be able to attack that with in your out of market, and again, play defense for a while in market, and then have a strategy in market, again, a couple of 2 or 3 years down the road. So what's our residential target market? Again, for the ILEC folks, for you guys, it's really your out of territory. So if you're building fiber out there, doing cable TV and video, telephone is the natural kind of next step. And then for those who are looking to reduce churn in area, if you're already selling broadband in footprint and you need to offer some services over the top, telephone is a natural fit over the top. And then for the smaller ILECs who are, again, having issues with maintenance on the existing switch, or not able to get replacement parts, or just can't spend the man hours working through those and maintaining it, this is a great avenue to start thinking about switch replacement. So again, there's lots of favorable things to talk about and why offer this service. From an economic standpoint, revenue growth. Again, it's more to sell, right? You can upsell existing customers. You can sell to customers that are out of footprint. It's add-on revenue. Again, if you're offering cable TV today, if you're offering wireless, if you're offering broadband, again, the telephone is the next logical step on top of that. It's being offered today by a lot of the competition. We all know about the triple play. This is what kind of completes that for most of you folks. Lower costs. Again, there's not a lot of cost on your end. We have spent the development. We've spent the man hours. We have built the product. We are simply going to let you offer it and put your name brand on it, so it's easy to jump in. We can help you with some of that churn. Again, in footprint, if you're getting competition attacking your customer base, whether it's the cable codes or the Vonages of the world, it gives you something to play defense on. And again, no capital expense. We've talked about that. We've already built it. You're simply going to be able to brand it and sell it, which is great. From a customer experience perspective, you've got a complete solution now. So folks are asking, hey, I love your broadband, I love your television, but this analog phone line that you got me on is just not very feature rich, and I can't do things like mobility, and I don't have a lot of the calling features that I can with an IP phone. What can you do to help me? Now we have an answer. It just gives your team more, as I say, arrows in the quiver, right, to go attack the base and to be able to sell more. And then again, we've talked about preparing for the future, but again, this is kind of the future, as we all know. If it's 2 years from now or 4 years from now, that's unknown, but somewhere down the line, we have to consider that TDM, will eventually go away, and folks will want to stop maintaining that infrastructure. So this helps us get there on the residential side. So
So let's go ahead and pause there. Although those are great insights and great motivational narrative from you in terms of what kind of market we're going out and looking at. Let's go ahead and clear the deck for the remaining questions that have come in, and then we will wrap things up with a real quick commentary, a real quick next step discussion for me. So, Gary, Brandon says, what kind of data demand are we looking at here for this product? 3 meg wireless connection, is this something that is a feasible solution in that type of environment?
Well, certainly the demand in terms of how much data it takes, it's just like any IT voice device. So it's bidirectional 4K bit with overhead. It's like 86 to 88 kbit per second from a data standpoint. I think from just from using it on a wireless connection, latency, some other things could be an issue with that. Now again, is this going to be a wireless router that you sell with your service, with your broadband service? If it is, you have complete control over it. You can set, you can try to pair it with get the QoS settings and stuff correct in there. That's going to be something that's going to be critical to set. And when you have a lower bandwidth like that, you want to make sure that the voice does have the proper QoS. And again, but if it's a router you're selling, you have the ability to do that. You can make those settings changes, and certainly you'd be able to validate that in your shop before you decide to start trying to deploy that.
I really like the way Kenny's thinking. He's already thinking, I'm going to go out and sell a whole bunch of these. Invariably, somebody's cat's going to knock over a glass of a Merlot on an ATA. What are the steps? So that happens. What are the steps to replace a damaged ATA in the field?
The steps would be the same thing today. You would RMA the device in, and I think maybe Shannon might be able to talk to him a little better, but you would RMA the device just like you would do for a hosted UC device today.
Somebody come up and meet for a comment or a question? You are always invited to do that. All right, I've got about 1 minute worth of updates for you or resources that I want to direct you to, and then we'll exit this call accordingly. So, what is available right now in resources.ampi.com? We have our homeXtend overview, welcome guides, product page messaging, your traditional marketing branded one-sheeters. Just to be fair, shove the camera on everybody else. We can do it to me too. Gotta eat my own dog food. We also already have iOS and Android devices, quick start guides. Our crack marketing team, Chris Klein, some of you have met him already. He's putting together some great YouTube videos that you will be able to use and then provide to your customers as well. So we're going to give you a full slew of resources. And launch calls, you may have gotten an email from us inviting you to a launch call. Think of today's session as pre-launch. We're just going to be giving you the essential information. That launch call is going to be a bit more robust in the sense of providing you with I'll show you what in a second what it's going to provide you with. But we're going to have launch calls Tuesday and Thursday next week, Tuesday and Thursday the week after that. Optional, of course. AM and PM session will cover the same thing on each call, so you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to come to. Maybe you send some folks from other parts of your team to these additional calls as well. But your hosted UC sales manager, your regional sales manager, your Shannons and your Johns of the world, they're going to be reaching out to you and bugging you to come to these too, because we really want to make sure you have as much information and obviously more opportunities to ask more questions. So be on the lookout for those calls. What we will cover there are more details around order entry, implementation, installation processes. That's why the one and only Shannon Bruner is sitting in, getting a better sense of what we're sharing with you today so we can augment that when we start building out things like Tier 1 responsibilities. I noticed that was one of the things, although it's kind of glassed over a little bit, is what we're expecting you to do. I know this is a big deal. What are we asking of you? The troubleshooting, and then of course what are those escalation procedures when troubleshooting doesn't solve the problem. So we'll provide you with those details on our launch calls next week. Please show up to those as well. So guys, that's really it. Aldo or Gary, any final questions or comments from either one of you?
No, I appreciate everybody's attendance. This has been great. I think the questions are indicative of what we should expect, that we're going to get a lot of interest. And I love the questions because people are drilling down into really the meat of the matter. As we grow this product, as you guys know, there's going to be a lot of end users. It's not going to be like the enterprise side where you've got one end user with 5 users or 20 users attached. This is one at a time. I mean, this is hand-to-hand combat at its finest. So the more we know, the more we share, the more you guys ask questions, the more we set the right expectations, the better everybody's going to be at the end. So I appreciate the attendance and especially the questions, and keep those coming, guys. And if you guys want to talk offline, you guys know how to reach us. Please feel free to.
Yeah, that's a great way of wrapping it up. Gary, thank you again as always. Shannon, thanks for stopping in. Aldo, I'm glad you were able to make it this morning.
Absolutely.
And as Aldo said, thank you all so much for your great questions. You're always welcome. It's the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I'll see you all again in 2 weeks.